few games will establish the legacy and boundless fanbase that has accrued for the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Taking a page out of the book that they'd written long before, Square teamed up with another industry titan to create one of the most magical franchises to date. Utilizing their previous creations, the mega-stardom of Disney's classic characters, alongside new and engaging heroes, all in a vast and immersive series of games that spanned out over 2 decades. This is the Kingdom Hearts Iceberg. Mickey Mouse Easter eggs. There are over 100 reported Easter eggs that can be found throughout the games that feature the simple shape of Mickey Mouse's face. One doesn't even have to look hard to find them, and I imagine some of them were not even intended. For kids and adults alike, the game was originally intended to feature a basic plot that would appeal to Disney's target demographic of young children, but then the Final Fantasy godfather intervened. Sakaguchi informed Nomura that he believes the game would fail if the plot does not aim to be as good as one of Square's Final Fantasy games. The plot was then further developed by Nomura. The name Kingdom Hearts was inspired by Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park, which had just opened in Florida at the time. As Nomura continued to construct the plot around the concept of the characters' hearts, he chose to combine the 2 names to become Kingdom Hearts. Sora could have been Mickey Mouse. Square wanted Mickey to be the main protagonist. Disney wanted Donald to be the major figure, but Nomura wanted to create a unique character instead. Thus, Sora was created, though he does dress similarly to Mickey Mouse in order to pay homage to the Disney mascot. Toy Story chapters. We saw a segment of Kingdom Hearts 3 devoted to Toy Story. However, we know that there was originally planned to be an included Toy Story segment for the first 2 games as well. In fact, they have revealed that the story had already been completely drafted before being removed from the final versions of the game. Beta logo. The beta version of the game had a much different logo than we see in the final product. Many brands will go through multiple iterations of their logo, and Kingdom Hearts is no different. The beta logo was admittedly pretty bland as well. Who is the mysterious king? Several clever Redditors have theorized that Sora is the only king in the Kingdom Hearts universe, saying, the crown on the Kingdom Key and Sora's necklace are both symbols of Kingdom Hearts. As a result, many people believe Sora is the legitimate king. That may not be enough to persuade you, but one Redditor goes on to point out a couple of additional design aspects in the series that might not only depict Sora seated on a throne of Keyblades, but he is also wearing the very same crown that signifies Kingdom Hearts. Then there's the Axe Blade, which is said to be made up of 2 Kingdom Keys, one of which is Sora's. Disney Castle. In the first game, the Disney Castle was used as an art asset in Kingdom Hearts cutscenes. However, in an early version of the game, there was a playable environment that players could traverse on through the Disney Castle. This was eventually added into Kingdom Hearts 2. Original Sora art. Early concept art for Sora showed him quite a bit different. He still wielded a blade of some kind, though it doesn't look to be an exact Keyblade. He also had a tail, crown, and longer spiked hair. Revenge value. The combo system in Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix is designed such that, after every hit, nearly all bosses will remain staggered for a short period of time, allowing the player to keep up with the combo until the last finisher is performed. After that, a cooldown period happens for Sora before he can start a new set of attacks. Bosses have their own AI, according to which the game selects an action for them to perform when they are not staggered. This is often referred as normal revenge. An implication of the combo system is that a boss cannot execute a normal revenge when staggered. Often, even the cooldown time after a combo is not enough for them to perform an action. For these reasons, the developers assigned to every action executable by Sora a hidden non-negative value. On their side, the bosses have an invisible gauge with a certain capacity, which is filled by the values of Sora's actions. When the gauge current value reaches or exceeds the maximum value, the boss can and will choose an action between a predefined set and performs it against the party even if it's still staggered. Sanctuary is the same reversed. As cool as that sounds, the song is definitely not the same forward and reversed, although many fans believe the parts you don't understand are supposed to be backwards or that there's a message hidden in it that has yet to be revealed. I will play a few clips and let you be the judge. No heart. This is a simulated version of Xehanort wearing Keyblade armor. It's a completely optional boss in Birth by Sleep Final Mix at the Mirage Arena. Its name is an anagram of Xehanort with the letter X removed. The DM skip. Desperation moves. or DM for short, are powerful attacks that bosses will launch at you after a certain amount of damage has been accrued. Each boss has their own specific attack patterns and DM setup, but with proper use of revenge values, you can completely skip the boss's desperation moves. The conception of Kingdom Hearts. The initial idea for Kingdom Hearts began with a discussion between Shinji Hashimoto and Hironobu Sakaguchi about Super Mario 64. They were planning to make a game with freedom of movement in 3 dimensions like Super Mario 64, but they lamented that only characters as popular as Disney's could rival a Mario game. Tetsuya Nomura, overhearing their conversation, volunteered to lead the project, and the 2 producers agreed to let him direct. A chance meeting between Hashimoto and a Disney executive in an elevator allowed Hashimoto to pitch the idea directly to Disney. Development began in February 2000 with Nomura as director and Hashimoto as producer. While Nomura had done previous work in the Final Fantasy series as monster designer and graphic director, he did not gain widespread recognition until he was the lead character designer for Final Fantasy VII. Kingdom Hearts marked his transition into a directorial position, though he also served as the game's character designer. Scenarios were provided by Kazushige Nojima, who was a scenario writer for Square from Final Fantasy VII until he left in 2003. Originally, the development focused on the gameplay with a simple story to appeal to Disney's target age range. After Sakaguchi told Nomura the game would be a failure if it did not aim for the same level as the Final Fantasy series, he began to develop the story further to the level that it became known and loved for. Lost source code. Like many other games created around this time period, the original source code for the original Kingdom Hearts was lost, forcing the developers to recreate the code by manually extracting data from retail versions of the game. Vexen Fight Remastered. This is a boss in 2.5 final mix that creates a Shadow Sora that periodically attack you. In the western port of the game, the fight was significantly harder due to the game running at 60 frames per second, making the artificial Sora move twice as fast. New challenger approaching. On October 18th in the Americas and the 19th outside of the Americas, Sora will become a playable character in Smash Bros. Ultimate. The 19th is also significant as one of longtime composers of the Kingdom Hearts series, Yoko Shimomura, also has a birthday. Short organization battles. Many of us were disappointed with how brief our battles with Kairi and Axel were in the fight against the organization. Some believe they have found a reasoning. Kairi's skirt. The developers were very careful not to reveal too much to players of the game that might want to explore. Some believe that this part of the game was cut short to prevent this situation from occurring, especially since they'd already had to patch out situations like this in HD versions of the game. The next saga villain in the making. It is yet to be verified, but Luxu appears to be the next enemy at the moment. Although the Master of Masters is expected to return, many people still believe he is a bad guy, but to figure out who the primary opponent is, we'll have to wait till the next epic. Scrapped Bahamut Summon. This famous Square creation was intended on being in the original game. Unfortunately, system limitations prevented the summon from being put in the final version. The summon can be accessed through cheats, but the game will crash upon its selection. Will young Xehanort betray Master Xehanort? Some believe that young Xehanort was the most innocent and sympathetic of the Xehanorts, that he was simply following his destiny with no real attachment to his goal, and that Kingdom Hearts 3 was showing Xehanort's friendship with Irox on purpose because it would be the key factor in turning young Xehanort against his future self. Young Xehanort, on the other hand, proved to be the least redeemable of all, displaying neither sorrow nor regret. However, my proof concerning Irox wasn't entirely incorrect. Their friendship was crucial to Master Xehanort's eventual concession. Kingdom Hearts 0. Birth by Sleep was a very small and simpler game by many standards. It was originally planned to be released on the PS2 in a more extensive manner. However, the plan changed and they were forced to switch gears by reducing the game for the PSP. The devs used the code word KH0 as their internal name for the game. What's inside the box? Some have speculated that the package contains an X-Blade. Luxord claims it includes hope, yet it's such a broad statement that it may refer to anything. Some have theorized that the box contains the Book of Prophecies written by the Master of Masters, which has been told to hold all the secrets of the past and future. Other theories postulate that we may never actually see what's inside the box, as it's intentionally being withheld from us, much like the briefcase in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction film. Another popular theory suggests that the box contains the Master of Masters' heart. Another Keyblade wielder. The elusive new character known as Yazora has been theorized to be an efficient Keyblade bearer. We actually see that Yazora is able to steal Sora's Keyblade. which has only ever been done by Riku. It's unclear whether this was just as a way to disarm him or because he is actually proficient at wielding the weapon. Dissidia NT and Toy Box. In the Toy Story world of KH3, you can see an Easter egg consisting of Dissidia NT summons as toys, though this does potentially invite additional questions about the canon around both of these games. Tidus in Traverse Town. Some have speculated that this character here is actually Tidus from Final Fantasy X, while the looks are similar. Most fans don't believe this theory to hold much water. Character anagrams. Several characters within the series are perfect anagrams for existing words within the companies behind the game. One would be Araki's rearranging to be square, while Yensid actually perfectly reverses around to spell Disney. Theories are abound as to any potential meanings or significances to these anagrams, but most are commonly disregarded. Kingdom Hearts 1 animated series pilot. In 2002 there was a planned animated series for the game. The show was said to have an anime-like art style with the same plot, characters, and worlds from the game. Early drafts and storyboards for the show were completed and presented to Disney. However, Disney rejected the proposal, claiming it was too dark for the intended audience and demographic. The show's writer and director, Sean Kearsley, posted these storyboard panels of the proposed pilot on his DeviantArt. Sora's heart. Sora lost a portion of his heart when he transported everyone from the 2.9 world line to the KH3 world line, and because his heart was missing, he couldn't keep his form together. Sora vanished because his incomplete heart couldn't hold him together when Kairi's heart returned to her in Remind. The blonde-haired kid. Before his name was officially revealed, fans suggested that BHK stands for blonde-haired kid. They assigned this moniker to Roxas, guessing about his character and why he possesses a Keyblade. Unused Keyblades. There were 2 unused palette-swapped Keyblades hidden through the first 2 games. Players are able to use cheating devices to gain these 2 weapons. Back in his place. Who really is Luxord? Yazora gets awakened up by his driver in a specific cutscene, which may be genuine but isn't proven. The guy addresses him as Commander and speaks to him briefly, though the driver's face isn't seen in the game. A rear view mirror reflection reveals that he has blonde hair that closely matches Luxord's. in both the English and Japanese versions. His voice sounds eerily similar to Luxord's voice performers. The fact that an Organization 13 member is from Yazora's planet is a surprise twist that makes the silver-haired boy's narrative even more intriguing to viewers. The brain is Yazora. One future hypothesis claims that, despite the fact that Brain looks to have become a vessel for Luxu, he also appears in Scala ad Caelum. It appears to have been intended, since Luxu stated that he will see the Five again. We may expect to see Ephemer again. Despite the fact that he looks to have been transported ahead in time the smallest distance, it appears that Ephemer is still alive when Brain awakens in Scala ad Caelum at the end of the Union finale, for whatever reason, and that Ephemer summoned him there for a specific purpose, to save Sora. It's possible that Sora's imprisonment in Unreality was predicted in the Book of Prophecies. We know that Unreality is mentioned in the book, as the Master of Masters says, and Luxu, as Xigbar, implies to Sora that he knows what his fate will be, implying that he was either informed of it by the Master of Masters or by Xehanort, who seems to have read at least some of the Book of Prophecies. As he makes comments about what has and hasn't been written, Ephemer most likely dispatched Brain to Unreality to save Sora, but something went wrong, and all he remembers is that he needs to save Sora. He's even changed his name to Yazora now. NSYNC Sephiroth. Kingdom Hearts brought the first English voiceover for the notorious villain from FF7. The team thought it wise to recruit everyone's favorite NSYNC member, Lance Bass, for much of the same reason that Chris Pratt has recently been hired to voice act Mario. Because he's so cool.
He's so cool!
Taking a look at all the voice actors that have stepped up to fill Sephiroth's shoes.
Descend, Heartless Angel. Come, power! Prepare yourself!
I admit you're very skilled. But apparently Cloud is the only one.
Careful now. That which lies ahead.
It's pretty safe to say that Lance was by far the best. Shirtless Mickey. In one cutscene from Point 2 Birth by Sleep, Mickey's shirt literally disintegrates after the Heartless fly by him. This is supposed to be the reasoning for why King Mickey was shirtless in KH1. Riku and Riku. Another interesting note to point out is the name similarities between two of Squaresoft's beloved characters. Many people argue that there is a slight difference in how hard you pronounce the K. However, the one takeaway here is that Square Enix certainly loves this name. Disney Launch Celebration. For the celebration of the American launch of Kingdom Hearts 1.5 Remix, Disney teamed up with Square Enix to celebrate in style at the Anaheim Marriott Hotel. The event was said to have featured early access to the game, photos and themed booths, and experience an interactive game-themed mural, complete with professional cosplayers and the works. Some lucky people were able to walk away with limited print posters, shirts, and merchandise signed by Tetsuya Nomura himself. The Mushroom Kingdom Hearts. This was a fictional Wii-exclusive crossover game created for an April Fool's event. The plot for the game involves Sora and the gang traveling to the Mushroom Kingdom world, where Organization 13 has sent a number of data replicas that wreak havoc. Kairi's hair inspiration. Utada Hikaru is a successful singer-songwriter and song producer. One theory holds that Kairi's hairstyles throughout the series are based directly on hairstyles that Utada had throughout the years. Looking at the comparisons, there is definitely a resemblance. The true Keyblade bearer. The YouTuber, 13th Vessel, and his brother have extensively data mined into the inner workings of Kingdom Hearts 3 to find some interesting hidden content, including this ominous message. You are not the true Keyblade bearer. It's left up to speculation as to what this message means. Most people seem to think that it's the devs' innocuous way of poking at anyone that digs deeper, a way to reward and slightly tease the data miners. Nevertheless, it was a cool find. I'll link this video in the description. Lost Vcast game. Verizon Wireless Vcast cell phone network had an unofficial Kingdom Hearts game released exclusively for their phone network. The game was developed by Disney Interactive and Superskip, and it's not accepted as canon with the rest of the Kingdom Hearts series. In 2012, the Vcast network disbanded, preventing new people from downloading this game. It's believed that we only have existing footage for the first of the 4 chapters on the game. Executive meddling in Arendelle. Tetsuya Nomura has stated in an interview that KH3 was more difficult to create compared to other KH games, as Disney supervised the project much closer than they did in 2002, limiting their creativity and design decisions. This was right around the time that the movie Frozen was entering its development. It's been said that Frozen's main protagonist, Elsa, had a sister in the films that was originally intended to be the villain. When the development team for Kingdom Hearts tried to write this into their story, Disney intervened as they didn't want the character to be villainized. Remnants of the Disney plot. Originally, Disney wanted the game to have a simpler and more light-hearted feel and storyline. However, Squaresoft pushed to make the plot more complex, similar to their Final Fantasy games. It's theorized that the original plot was about Sora, Goofy, and Donald returning the stars to the sky after the darkness steals them or forces them to fade away. It's theorized that the main antagonist was originally intended to be Maleficent, along with several other Disney villains. Some evidence for this might be the major roles of these villains in KH1 and that they were dethroned by their own home-brewed villains. There's also a scene where Donald and Goofy see the stars in the sky dissipating over Traverse Town. There cannot be two Keyblade Masters. This is in reference to a line spoken by Riku when he took the Keyblade from Sora and Hollow Bastion. This obviously does not make sense with the rest of the Kingdom Hearts series. However, the game was originally planned to be a standalone title. On top of this, it was actually a mistranslation. Riku originally said that there could only be two heroes. Marluxia was originally a woman. Rank 11 of Organization 13, otherwise known as Marluxia, was originally planned to be a female character in the game's early stages of development. However, they decided against this idea because they didn't want both traders to be female. The Labyrinth of Ice is Elsa's palace. This refers to the theory that the Disney team that oversaw the development of Kingdom Hearts was originally assisting them in creating Elsa's palace from the movie Frozen. However, due to complications, they were forced to scrap Elsa's palace and they salvaged the assets with the Labyrinth of Ice. PS4 port glitches. When the game was ported over to the PlayStation 4, it received a bump to 60 frames per second. Some people have speculated that this was a main culprit for why there was a vast number of additional glitches that arrived with this game's port, although some of these glitches existed within the PS3 version and were transferred over, and many have since been patched over. Treasure Planet in Dream Drop Distance. There was a flying ship level that was data mined and found to be hidden within this KH game. People have theorized that this was actually a cut world focused on the Treasure Planet film that came out in 2002. There is additional evidence as the title for the world in the cut asset was called TP, short for Treasure Planet. The COR Skip. The Cavern of Remembrance from KH2FM is a high-level area filled with dangerous and powerful enemies that can normally be difficult to get through without being at a higher level. However, it was discovered that it can be completely skipped using a clip outside of bounds. The tricky part comes afterward, where players need to use multiple drive recoveries to maintain your master form and continuously levitate your way up and around the boundaries of the map. This skips a lot of fights within the cavern as well as the hallway afterward, which normally has 3 very difficult level 99 fights. On top of that, the treasure room finale spawns every item for you to acquire. Drunk Nomura. In a 2007 interview with Tetsuya Nomura and Hajime Tabata, Nomura was sharing the conceptualization of the mobile game Kingdom Hearts Coded. However, Tabata was quick to correct Nomura's retelling, revealing that he was actually drunk during his initial explanation for the concept of the game to the team. Monsters Inc. and Fantasia in KH2. The debug menu of Kingdom Hearts 2 reveals both a Toy Story as well as a Monsters Inc. level that was originally intended on being included within KH2. This was later confirmed by Nomura years later, saying that Square was unsuccessful in their attempts to use Pixar's famous franchise for KH2. There also exists evidence that suggests Fantasia also had a planned world that was scrapped before the final release of the game. The Simpsons meets Kingdom Hearts. On level 14 of the Simpsons game for the PS3, you can find these 2 dog statues holding what appears to be keyblades. This has spawned a wave of memes combining the 2 franchises, including a number of fan fictions combining the 2 iconic universes. Yazora is Nomura's coping for FF15. Tetsuya Nomura was working on FF13 verses, but was taken off the project to work on KH3. This theory suggests that Yazora was his own way to telling the story he had originally planned for the development of FF13 verses. Bouncer concepts reused. Squaresoft's first PlayStation 2 game, The Bouncer, featured a protagonist that looks remarkably similar to Sora. We already know that Sora was fitted to look like Mickey Mouse, but the resemblance between these 2 characters is uncanny. Even their names are close, as the Bouncer's main character is named Sion. Kingdom Hearts cover art locations. Some fans have speculated that each of the mainline games in the series features cover art that alludes to the location in the following mainline game. KH1 displays what appears to be the world that never was. KH2FM seems to feature the 7 pillars to the 13 darknesses, and KH3 alludes to Quadratum, which is likely to be the modern Japan-like world that is speculated to be featured in KH4. Nomura Fried Chicken. This is in reference to this image here, which displays what appears to be a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket, except it appears to have a picture of Nomura in the last half of his name, hence, Nomura Fried Chicken. Sora mascot at Disneyland. In 2004 there were costumed mascots for Sora, Donald, and Goofy. All was normal for the two companions. But the Sora costume that Disney made was almost creepy looking. They made the face almost too realistic, causing an awkward sensation similar to how we feel with certain human-looking robots. The face also seemed to have an evil and maniacal grin. Musical references. Throughout the Kingdom Hearts series, players have found a number of hidden references to musical artists. Several song titles and other smaller references can be found toward the bands Aerosmith and Bon Jovi, as well as the singer Joe Williams. How Beast got to Hollow Bastion in KH1. This is in reference how Beast used his heart to directly follow Bells after Maleficent took her. This desire was so strong that it traveled through the oceans and bypassed Traverse Town to get to her. JB62A.BCD. This is the name of the file that was data mined and found in Dream Drop Distance. They are said to contain 3 dive mode maps. The JB is said to allude to the Jungle Book, which has been attempted to be included in multiple installments of the game. Marquis de Sade. In the KH manga, you can see Larxene reading a book by this French author. What is most peculiar about this is the subject matter commonly seen from this author. The term sadism was coined from this author, which is defined as the tendency to derive pleasure, especially sexual gratification, from inflicting pain, suffering, or humiliation on others. Needless to say, it's strange to see a book such as this in content that's aimed at children and teenagers. Mysterious voice identity. Throughout the games, there was an unknown mysterious voice that was being spoken. Many fans believed it was Ventus. However, it was confirmed in the KH Ultimania that the mysterious voice speaking to Sora is actually King Mickey. He was the one to guide Sora through his dream while explaining the intentions of the adventure at hand. Sora's parents. Both of his parents are hardly mentioned throughout the entirety of the Kingdom Hearts series. Early on, you can see Sora's mom calling him down for supper, and Sora's father is mentioned briefly in Birth by Sleep when Sora states that his father is there to bring him and Riku home from the play. There are several theories as to their whereabouts, but from what we can see, it's just normal for people to not concern themselves with their family quite as much. But it's not that surprising when you exist in a world with anthropomorphic animals, and magical keyblades are realistic and valid weapons over firearms. One theory for her disappearance is that Sora left this world line to another one after Destiny Islands fell to the darkness in the original game. From what we know, he wakes up in Traverse Town, which we already know is in a special place called the Realm Between, and perhaps that is in reference to being in between world lines, and he was just in transition between his original world line and a new one. The many world interpretation. In the universe of Kingdom Hearts, there are many worlds that fall into certain realms. All of these realms exist on their own plane of existence. Between these worlds exists a vast space called the Ocean Between, otherwise known as the Ocean of Stars or Interspace. There are a number of different methods of traveling between these worlds, although it's been said it's very difficult to access these methods. Some of these methods include the lanes between, the corridors of darkness, the gummy routes and gates, magic, and time travel. However, the many-world interpretation is a real-world interpretation of quantum mechanics that implies that each and every outcome is realized in some existing world or universe. Much like Schrödinger's cat, there is a separate world that exists for each and every outcome. For example, there exists a world where Donald perishes in the first game and we go on without him in that universe, but that realm exists simultaneously alongside of the universe that we have come to know and love. Nomura planned it from the beginning. This theory postulates that Nomura formulated the premise of the entire series plot before the first game even came out. Unlike George Lucas with Star Wars, he released the game's entries in a specific order to maximize the output of capabilities. It's fun to think that someone could be this brilliant, but the amount of changes throughout the series makes it difficult to believe. Nevertheless, Nomura has proved time and time again to be a creative genius, whether or not he was 20 steps ahead of the curve. Sora's mom is the master of masters. So we've discussed the lack of Sora's parents' involvement within the series. Some clever fans have created this theory, mostly as a meme, as this lines up with MOM as an acronym for Master of Masters, although it does line up with her disappearance. Perhaps somebody will chime in on their theories. Human identity of every Heartless and nobody. The Heartless are living manifestations of the darkness that existed within people's hearts. While it would be nearly impossible to pinpoint the identity of every Heartless, It's fascinating to consider how many Heartless you encounter throughout the series, and that each of them originated from within the darkness of people's hearts. The nobodies are the remains after those who have completely lost their hearts to darkness, and we already know many of the organization's original identities. Although Xehanort had multiple incarnations, his Heartless was as Ansem the Wise. Xigbar's original form appeared in Birth by Sleep as a minor protagonist. Braig, Zaldan's original form, also appeared as the Radiant Garden Defender. Dylan, Vexen's original form, was the character named Even. Lexius was originally the castle guard of Radiant Garden named Alias. Zexion originally served as Ansem's youngest apprentice. Enzo, Axel, and Sakes were originally best friends as Issa and Leah. Marluxia started out as the protective older brother of Strelitzia. Lorium, Larxene, was originally known as Elrena, who was the more level-headed version of the two characters. Obviously, we know that Roxas is Sora's nobody, and Zion actually didn't have an original human form, as she was just a derivation of Sora's memories of Kairi. This is immediately apparent when you see the similarities between the two. World Order transformation process. When Sora and the gang arrive at new worlds that require particular transformations, they're given the necessary setup to operate. For instance, in Ariel's world, they are given the ability to swim underwater, and in the Tron world, the gang immediately take on some sort of technological vessel or form. Early on, it's suggested that Donald has magic to transform them, but others believe that this is simply a natural process when entering new worlds, as the transformation seems to happen instantaneously. KH1 plot was a scrapped Walt Disney movie. There was a rumored abandoned movie set to release around Disney's anniversary during the early 2000s. This theory suggests that they abandoned the film but salvaged the plot and placed it into the original Kingdom Hearts game. It's not too out of line to imagine a more simplified version of Kingdom Hearts where Mickey disappears, and his friends travel through the various Disney franchises to find him. There are more than enough characters within the Disney franchises to substitute in for Square's creations, though this is only speculated from what I understand.
Like this video, and subscribe to Maker.